Some hardline groups accused Jokowi of being anti-Islam, throwing their support behind his challenger, Prabowo Subianto. Jokowi cannot run again in 2024, but Prabowo is expected to throw his hat in the ring. Among his challengers are Central Java Governor Ganjar Pranowo and former Jakarta Governor Anies Baswedan. Anies won the gubernatorial race in 2017 with support from conservative Muslim groups, after his Christian contender Basuki Cahayapurnama, or Ahok, was accused of blasphemy.
Identity politics, part of politics, that will be made into an issue. But we have seen, the worst was during the gubernatorial election in Jakarta, as if Indonesia is going to break up. And then, during the presidential election between Pak Jokowi and Pak Prabowo, and then 2019 again. But after that, all of these elites got back together, and Pak Prabowo joined the cabinet. So I think the people on the ground should be smart enough to say, not to take politics too hard, And it is, I hope that the political elites will not make cheap use of identities, which could be very damaging, very polarizing, just to score points.
Kalau politik identitasnya sendiri per definisi itu kan ada masalah. Karena politik identitas di zaman postmodernisme memang muncul di mana-mana kan. Feminisme itu politik identitas, LGBT itu politik identitas, ya. Etnik itu politik identitas. Yang masalah itu ketika dia dipolitisasi untuk mencapai tujuan kekuasaan. Itu apalagi atas nama agama, karena sentimen agama itu gampang sekali menyulut kemarahan.
The fear, then, is not that widespread religious conflagration will occur in Indonesia. Instead, as politicians lean into populism, the danger is of a slow, creeping erosion of the state ideology Pancasila.
Kalau Pancasila tidak dipertahankan, tentu kita pemeluk agama Buddha di Indonesia khawatir bisa terjadi mungkin satu gejolak-gejolak baik secara sosial, politik, yang nantinya akan berimbas kepada praktik beragama di Indonesia. Misalkan mungkin kebebasan di dalam beribadah, hak dan kewajiban untuk saling beribadah dan lain sebagainya. Nah, ini mungkin nanti bisa lebih agak tertekan ya kalau tidak dijadikan Pancasila sebagai dasar negara.
Sudah seharusnya pemerintah menegakkan bersama apa yang sudah dijamin oleh konstitusi terhadap kebinekaan kita. Artinya perlu pembelajaran yang tegas juga terhadap persoalan-persoalan di mana adanya tindakan-tindakan yang diskriminatif oleh negara terhadap warganya, itu satu pelanggaran yang tidak boleh dianggap remeh.
This is the season where presidential hopefuls announce their candidacy. The cancellation of the Under-20 World Cup is a reminder for the country to brace itself for another volatile leadership contest. But many place their hope on a bulwark against more extremist tendencies. A bulwark made up of Indonesia's silent, moderate majority.
Kelompok yang namanya kelompok moderat, kelompok progresif, mereka itu adalah silent majority ya. Mereka itu tidak akan bicara secara asertif atau agresif. Mereka itu nunggu kasus aja, nunggu isu aja. Kalau tidak ada isu ya mereka diam saja, mereka bekerja. Tapi nanti begitu ada isu mereka akan bicara gitu, sesuai yang dibutuhkan. Saya kira itu sudah benar lah.
When I was in Norway, when I tried to explain, how complex Indonesian society is, it is not easy, because they used to read all the news from Middle East, all the conflicts, all the violence, that take place in Middle East countries, in Syria, in Afghanistan, in all these countries. That is the perception on Islam. But I told them, Indonesia has been very peaceful since they proclaim their independence. Yes, there are issues of violence in certain places, yeah, but I don't think it is that significant to consider Indonesia as a violent state. But again, Indonesia needs to speak up more. Indonesia needs to reach out. I told Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah when I nominated them to win the Nobel Peace. Yeah, speak up.
From brokering a Saudi-Iran truce to working to resolve the Russian-Ukraine war, China wants to fill the role of global mediator, but with a bellicose stance in its own backyard and an ever-increasing military buildup. Are China's peacemaking ambitions credible? Join us for a forum special on China, the Peacemaker. Insight, Thursday on CNA.
Understanding the circuitry being key to understanding mental health.
和平不会是天上自己掉下来，其实和平是靠争取来的。
The act of making is bringing that idea into reality.
People are burnt everywhere.
A ransomware attack can come from anywhere in the world.
A perfect storm of disruptions has put the world's most critical resources under threat.
Zora Orchestra was representing Afghan prayers with only one thing all of us want, to come back home and restore it.
To steal them and call it a business is a crime.
What would happen in the days and months following a nuclear detonation?
Witness the hidden world of curious creatures.
Dạ không, đây là món dân dã. Tại nó rất là rẻ tiền, và nó ngon nữa.
Venture into the heart of love scam operations in Cambodia.
Asian hate still lingers in the UK.
One of the longest school closures in the world. A new and disturbing form of terror is emerging.
ಬಾಸ್ದೇನು ಕಾಣಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಸೌಂಡ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ.
This is really nice.
What if we knew how to escape death?
We should do everything we can to fight for them because they're not giving up.
Catch some of these award-winning series exclusively on CMA. This is Asia Now.
Hello, it's 2 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 11:30 in New Delhi, 1 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Angela Lin. At this hour, G7 finance leaders warn of increased economic uncertainty as they wrap up 3 days of talks in Japan, overshadowed by a potential U.S. debt crisis and fallout from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. A high-stakes election in Thailand. Voters are going to the polls on Sunday in an election that could set the country on a path toward ending nearly 9 years of military rule. And supporters celebrate outside Imran Khan's house as Pakistan's former prime minister is granted 2 weeks of protected bail. Pakistan's ruling party has slammed the court's decision, saying it is planning nationwide protests. G7 finance chiefs have reiterated their support for Ukraine and pledged to enforce sanctions against Russia for its invasion, but stopped short of overt mention of China as they wrapped up 3 days of talks in Niigata, central Japan. The leaders had also flagged the need to stay agile and flexible amid heightened uncertainties for the economy worldwide. This despite noting its resilience against multiple shocks, including the pandemic, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and rising inflation. The group had vowed to fill regulatory gaps in the banking sector in light of the recent collapse of